Hey guys, here's my second review on the DJI Ronin. Now I have made a few videos before this one, the initial unboxing and the initial review using it out of the box, and I had a few problems with vibrations and the auto tune, which didn't work too well. So after over the weekend I just got a lot more hands-on, a lot more involved with the Ronin itself. It's this video is gonna be more of some tips on what to look out for when you get those vibrations and some of the problems that I've noticed with this gimbal. So some tips were, most of my vibrations were coming from these levers here. Some of these levers, the red levers here, they were not properly tightened out of the box. Now those first videos were pretty much the initial review out of the box. You know what most guys will be doing when they get it, mounting the camera and using it. No, but usually most people don't tend to check these screws, but if you guys do get those issues, make sure you use the included Allen keys. You have 3 different sizes, and just put in here and make adjustments. I believe the red lever uses the smallest one. You just make sure that to properly tighten down. Not too tight and not too loose, but they will need to be somewhat tight in order for you to lock it. For my tilt here, I had one that was loose and one that was tight. These red levers for the pan here, these were loose. Now, I didn't really notice until I had my red Epic mounted on here, where I was still able to, with the red clamps tightened down, I was still able to move the levers a little bit. So it was still sliding back and forth. I, double checked it and the screws were loose. Paul from DJI actually sent me a message on YouTube saying, hey, thanks for the feedback and the, real world review. And he gave me some tips on what to look out for, and it turns out that these screws were not properly tightened down. After I got those down, gimbal works. Another issue was, on the roll assembly here, you have 5 screws total, 2 in the top, 2 in the bottom, and 1 big one in the center. Those screws were actually not tightened all the way. Now, once again, I didn't notice it when I was using my Blackmagic camera, or even the 5D, or even smaller GH4. Only noticed that when I mounted the red, because the red, I had to shift this bar a little bit with the side grip and stuff like that to balance it out. But that's when I noticed that when I put the tool on there, I was just able to, finger loosen it, just holding it like this. So that's probably the reason why it was vibrating when I was in briefcase mode, because these screws were not properly tightened down. So after I got more hands on, I found a few problems and some few fixes. So if you guys are having issues like I was experiencing it in my first initial review, make sure your screws are all properly tightened down. Now to some of the problems with this gimbal is this assembly here. So let me turn the gimbal around a little bit. Make sure make sure this is around. Turn my handle so you guys get a better view. This lever here, right? So before in the other video when I was looking up and down, it was kind of slipping, kind of making that little noise. It's not the tube that is slipping, so it's not these 2 top screws. It's actually the 2 halves, the handlebar assembly when it slides onto here. It's no matter how much I tighten down this red lever, no matter what tool I use or how much I torque it down, it's still able to move, and I'm still able to replicate it every single time. Now, with the smaller cameras, you don't really notice it too much, but when you start mounting the reds and the heavier setups, you will feel the 2 halves kind of separate, and if you look at it really closely, you can see it, and that's probably due to the tolerance level when these parts were coming out of the cast or the CNC machine. They were probably off a little bit, and that little off tolerance will cause the 2 parts to separate, and no matter what you do with tighten down, it's not going to go away. So hopefully DJI will release a free upgrade or a free part for some of the guys like me who's having the same issues. Hopefully they won't make us buy it, because I mean it's this gimbal is actually really well built. I mean, it's by far one of the best gimbals that I've messed with. It's not the lightest, but it is kind of heavy. Fully rigged out, it's about 10 pounds with this camera tray and the little rails, minus the camera itself. The whole gimbal itself with the battery and the tray is about 10 pounds. It's pretty heavy, but it's built really well. The parts are machined really well. I'm really impressed with the quality and what you're getting with this gimbal. The battery life is fantastic. I had this thing on for about 3 hours, not 3 hours straight, but 3 hours over the time, and I still have like 2 bars left. So it's a long amount of usable time, so that's very impressive. But back to the issues. That part, another issue that I was having was, you can put it back here, with some of the problems that I had before. Now before I start, you can see I have this gimbal perfectly balanced. I know how to balance gimbals. I've built many gimbals. Well, I haven't built, but I messed with people who had the Movi. I played with the DJI gimbals, which is actually a very good gimbal. Those guys know how to tune. Fantastic job. I played with the cheaper eBay gimbals, even the clones of the Movi. A lot of other gimbals like that. I pretty much play with a lot of gimbals out there in the market, anywhere from GoPros up to the larger FS700 size gimbals. So I know how to balance. I mean, look at this tilt. You ain't gonna get better than that. Vertical, horizontal of the tilt axis is balanced really well. The roll balance is pretty much dead on. So you can see there, it's dead on. Even the pan is pretty much where it should be. It doesn't move, it doesn't slide. And earlier in the first initial review when I was doing it, when I tilted forward like this, it kind of fall towards one side. Well, it turns out that was because these screws were not loose. So when the screws were not loose, the gimbal or the back housing didn't fit perfectly straight. It was kind of like off maybe by half a degree. That half a degree weight down here will make it heavier on one side. So once I tighten those down, it's actually balanced really well. And DJI made this gimbal so easy to balance. It's by far one of the easiest and fastest gimbal to balance out there that I've actually messed with. So, props to DJI for making such an easy gimbal to balance. Let me power on and show you guys some of the issues that I've been experiencing. No matter what I do, I cannot get these problems to go away. So it's powering on. I believe it's on right now. So it's very quiet, you can't really hear it. But here's a minor issue. The pan motor, you can hear it. When the faster you move it, you can hear these motors and they're kind of audible. So if you're using like a really good mic, you will pick up these noises. Another issue is this. So you can see when I go slow, overall the gimbal works fantastic. When I go slow, it holds it really well. But when I go a bit quicker, you see that roll, it kind of wags a little bit left and right. Look at the lens, it wags. So it shouldn't be doing that. No matter what I do, I cannot get that problem to go away. And the guys on Red User, I don't really go on Red User much, but I saw a guy saying like, oh, I had this gimbal set up and balanced all wrong. You just saw it. The gimbal, no matter how well balanced you get it, small GH4s up to the Red Epic get the same exact problem. Cannot get that to go away. I'm using the latest 2.1, which already came with the gimbal. Already updated with the gimbal, so I didn't have to do any updating. It's already up to date. Another issue that I'm getting is this. So when I swirl the gimbal, the pan motor shuts off. So after about 4 or 5 seconds, you can see this pan motor, it shuts off. It shouldn't be shutting off. So I'm not sure if it's just a bug with the algorithm or not, or if it's an overload current protection where it's shutting off. But it shouldn't be shutting off like that because the gimbal's all balanced. I'm not sure why it's doing it, but hopefully the next update, some of these issues will be fixed. Another issue that I've noticed is, I haven't had an issue yet, but I can see it being a very big potential issue, is you always want to have your Ronin on a stand. Never put this gimbal on the ground. The reason why is not because these motors are on the ground straining. That's not going to be a problem. It's this little wire you get back here. There's a wire, a cable that comes underneath the roll motor, and when you put it on the ground, all of that stress is going to be on this cable. Even just putting this gimbal part right here back into the case, I can see that this wire moves too much, flex too much, and I can already see that this is going to be a main problem for a lot of people. Is over time, or even a short amount of time, this cable is going to bend too much. The insulation inside the other wires will crack, they'll break, and this is going to give you a lot of problems. So maybe DJI can come up with something where you can just put a half down here, kind of take weight away from this wire, because this is going to be a big issue. The GCU cables down here, they're a little bit fragile, so you got to be careful when you're mounting accessories, balancing your camera. Make sure you don't pull on those wires, because if you break it, good luck. You have to send your gimbal in for them to fix it. And it may be free, it may not, or it may cost you a lot to fix. But be very careful when you're handling. Make sure you don't pull on the wires. Make sure you don't put your gimbal on the ground itself. Now, a few good things about the gimbal is it's actually built very solid. Most gimbals that you see with any tubular designs, with a red, the reds are heavy, you have a lot of mass, and when you start doing a lot of these looking up and down, like this, these grips tend to slip on the tube right here. So let me get back down. It tends to slip on the round tube because round tube doesn't have a lot of pressure or a lot of grip surface. DJI did a fantastic job. It doesn't slip on these handles. Everything holds really well. The only one gripe is these little handles down here. They're able to move a little bit, and no matter how much I tighten down these screws, it's still able to move. So, I mean, it's not a problem, but when I'm holding it and moving it, I want more of a solid feel to it, but it's not an issue. I just want to point out, in my opinion, that I don't like this. The top feels very solid, but for some reason the two side grips here. So I'm going to have to take it out, maybe put some tape or putty or some glue down here to prevent it from, wobbling a little bit. But besides that, overall, gimbal works great. Another issue is, let me turn on my app real quick and connect. I think my GH4 battery recording is running a little low right now, so I'm going to try to hurry it up before it dies again. So, let me connect to my gimbal using an iOS app. The PC app actually works, but sometimes I noticed when I was doing auto tuning or doing a few adjustments, I have to power off the Ronin in order for the software on the PC to reboot and show the correct value. So let me go in here. I'm going to turn off briefcase mode. So I have smooth track mode or follow mode on. So one thing I wanted was I still cannot get the roll control, the follow roll control by rolling the handlebars. So if you're one of those guys that like to do those dreamy artsy looks where you're underneath a tree or an object and you want to go around it looking up, you can't do that. Now if you do have the remote, you can actually turn on the transmitter here and control the roll. So that's very good if you want to control the roll through here. So you can actually go in there and if you have a second operator, you can control it. But the thing is, if you're by yourself, you have no joystick and you have no profiles. The second guy can actually change the speeds to different modes between, lock mode here, I'm in lock mode. But if you want to do this on the fly, you will have to use a transmitter or the iOS app or a PC. There's currently no mode buttons, there's no switches, there's no joystick to use. So if you're a one-man crew, it's going to be a little bit more difficult, But I believe DJI is working on a joystick module where you can hook it up to the handle where it'll be a little bit easier for guys to do a one-person operation. Now, just want to make that quick video showing you guys my second review on there after getting more hands-on, because the guys were saying that I had my gimbal set up all wrong. That's why the gimbal's not working right. I saw even a comment on Red User where somebody mentioned that the cable I used when I had it hooked up to the PC was too short. Well, that's the cable that DJI included, and that's the cable that I wanted to use in that initial video because it's what DJI included. Now, in my opinion, it wasn't too short. It's a little short, but it still had enough slack where I can move it and not interfere with the way it operates. But you can see, let me put it back into the mode here. Actually, I'll leave it in lock mode. And you can see when I roll it, same issue. If I swirl it like so, the pan still shuts off. So, see? It shuts off there. Let me put it back into the smooth track, or the follow mode, because DJI calls it smooth track. I prefer to call it follow mode because it follows the handle. You can see, same issue. Nothing goes away. And briefcase mode is turned off. So you can see, there is no briefcase mode. And the gimbal doesn't really like that, so let me fix it before it goes kind of crazy. So you can see it doesn't like to be thrown off, and let it just initialize itself. There we go. Once you censor the handles, it comes back to normal. Let me turn on briefcase mode. So briefcase mode is turned on. You can see, works quite well. This is actually my new favorite mode to use because I got some hands on over the weekend using this one in the GH4, and I'm surprised I can do a lot more stuff in briefcase mode. I can, go through narrow alleys, I can go through narrow spaces, I can go through walls. I'm sorry, not through walls, but through doorways, door openings, because, when you're going from something this wide, trying to navigate through a door opening, it's very hard. But when you have it in briefcase mode, it's so narrow where I can just quickly, walk through a narrow way. I can, go between cars in a parking lot and just get those really cool shots. So briefcase mode is my favorite mode. And to get it back, you just gotta center the handlebar, make it parallel with here, and it's good to go. So yeah, that's pretty much my second review. Showing you guys some tips, some issues that's still there. So far, I'm really impressed with the way it works. It tends to work really well normal use, but the pan motor kind of shuts off when you're getting too aggressive, and the roll just can't keep up. I'm not exactly sure. Maybe it's the algorithm wasn't designed to be that fast, or just the controller's too slow. But knowing DJI, they're gonna release an update or a firmware update that will fix those issues. So I hope you guys enjoyed the second follow-up video. I'll be posting some more actual shots taken from the camera using the Ronin. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay tuned, guys, and until next time.